friends, and welcome to Costuming in Color, a YouTube show dedicated to showcasing amazing costumers of color and those that support them.
I'm Gigi, a cultural history buff, dabblist, and historical costumer.
And I'm Noelle, a costumer who likes to play both sides of the historical and cosplay world.
Today we are interviewing Vivien of Fresh Frippery. Welcome, Vivien.
Hello.
But first, some house rules. The first rule of Costuming in Color is that you tell everyone about costuming in color.
This way, our community can get to know BIPOC who share their interests.
The second rule is that kindness matters. Aside from that, there are no rules.
So let's get into it.
Vivien, where are you from originally?
So I was born, raised, and still live in the Bay Area, California.
Cool. Me too, except I wasn't born and raised here. Cosplay, historical, or both?
Both.
So what's the costuming scene like where you live?
So the Bay Area scene is super busy. Besides the historical, costuming community, besides cosplay, vintage, dance, all of that. Pre-COVID, we had something going on every single week. I mean, there were weekends where I get 3 invitations and had to choose. There were some crazy days when I was younger that I could do 2 events in one day too. So if you like to costume, come on down to the Bay Area.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. What is your internet handle and why did you choose it?
So on Instagram, I go by Fresh Frippery, and that comes from my blog, freshfrippery.com. I actually had the blog years before I joined Instagram. And at the time I was trying to come up with names for my blog, I was just like, oh, I need something alliterative because it sounds kind of fun and just something kind of a little silly and a little bit cute. And I just settled on that. There's no deep meaning.
So since you also do historical costuming, what time period and place is your favorite?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite because I just keep going squirrel and get interested in a different era. So I've done Regency, I've done 18th century Victorian, 20s, 30s, like I do a little bit of everything. And sometimes I'll discover something I haven't done and go, ooh, let's try that.
What types of characters do you gravitate towards for cosplay?
So I don't actually pick the costumes based on the character. Sometimes I've even picked costumes based on promo photos that have come out. Before I know nothing about the character, I'm just like, whoa, that's a cool aesthetic and I want to do that. So it doesn't matter if it's a good guy, bad guy, morally ambiguous character. I don't really pick based on the character. I go pick it based on that's a cool costume I want to make.
That's kind of how I do it too. I've been enticed into watching television shows before because I was like, I want to do this cosplay. And then I'm like, oh, I guess I better watch this because people at conventions are going to try to talk to me about it. So
Vivien, how did you get your start in costuming?
So in college, I joined the SCA. And for those of you that don't know, it's the Society for Creative Anachronism. So they do like medieval, Renaissance, and so on. Basically, I was walking around campus and I saw someone wearing a medieval dress. And I was like, I want to be her friend. Let's see what she's up to. And so I asked her, and she was actually dressed like that because she was trying to recruit for the society. She was passing out flyers. So then I started going to the local meetings and started going to events. And then it just kind of snowballed from there because the people there were into costuming and I learned about the various other Bay Area communities and other hobby groups. And now it is my life and it's taken over.
The SCA is a gateway drug for sure.
Yes.
What are your favorite parts of costuming or clothes that you make?
I don't know if I have a specific thing that's a favorite because every time I do a project, I want to learn something new or try a new era or try a new technique. So I can't say there's like a favorite thing because some people are like, oh, I love making hats or I love doing this. Like every project's different. The only thing I know is like, I really don't like making undergarments. So I'm really glad Cynthia of Red Threaded is around because she's an enabler and I can now make more eras than I previously did because I'm like, I don't have to make the underwear first.
So what aspects of costuming drew you to it? Why do you continue to costume?
So I'm really into like the construction and the craftsmanship and just, it doesn't matter whether it's for cosplay or historical costuming. The fact that I get to make something I find very therapeutic. I'm not really driven by an event. So I guess I'm lucky in that even though this past year there haven't been really events, I've kept sewing just because I find it very relaxing.
What is your favorite or most epic completed project?
I would have to say the most epic was My Lady's Remain from the live action Cinderella movie, with Kate Blanchett in the role. The reason is because the costume actually has many layers to it. So I did her green and black dress. So yeah, there's all those floral appliques on her bodice, on her skirt, on her hat. I had to cut all of those out and apply them because I couldn't find any fabric that actually has that.
I always thought that was flocked velvet.
Yeah, I had to cut that out of flocked material and apply that.
Wow.
And so it was kind of terrifying because the way you apply this heat transfer flocked vinyl is you have to iron it on. So you have to get it hot enough to stick. But I was also afraid of like melting all the synthetic stuff I had underneath, like the organza, the sequins and everything. So then I had to layer all this, other materials in between the on the areas where I wasn't applying anything. So it took forever. I'm not sure how many hours it took and how many times I like singed my fingers. But overall, there were like 40 yards of material between the layers of organza, satin, cineme, the flocked vinyl, everything. So yeah, I think that was my most time consuming project ever.
I wonder how they did it for the film. That makes me wonder about that. Because like, imagine a costume shop going to that effort. I'm hoping they found the material as one and used it not knowing.
So the costume actually went on display at FIDM. So I couldn't go that time because it used to be that I would go down there to coincide with Coco. Yeah, so I had some friends go and try to take all these close-up pictures for me. And I can tell you that fabric was not pre-made. And in fact, it was crazier than what I did because I just cut out the appliques. They also airbrushed after those appliques were on to do shading. And then they applied some crystals to it.
Wow, that's crazy.
There's a lot of detail in that.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, now that we've talked about this heavy costume that you made, tell me about the silliest thing that's ever happened to you at an event.
So I was at an event, I was hanging out with a group of friends, and this creeper dude was going around just hitting on everybody and not leaving people alone. And finally, to get rid of him, one person in our group said, "Let us now begin our Gregorian chant." And we all just went, "Oh, wow, wow, wow," like doing like fake Latin and things like that. And the guy just went, "Okay, these chicks are crazy. I'm gonna leave now."
That's awesome. What is your favorite costuming memory?
It's kind of hard to pick because I have a great group of friends and we have had so many fun events, especially being where I live. So something recent in that, even though it feels forever ago, one of the last things that we did before the pandemic shut everything down was my guild, the GBACG, Greater Bay Area Costumers Guild, had a day where everyone dressed up as in bustle gowns and went to see the Tissot exhibit at the Legion of Honor Museum. So after we went to the museum, I had booked like a tea party at a hotel in San Francisco for some of my friends. So the guild event itself was already pretty fun, but then we were starving, we went and had this tea. And there was either some kind of filming or publicity thing going on for the new Matrix movie because there were a bunch of the cast members there. I'm not exactly sure what was going on, but we actually ran into some of them while dressed in our bustle gowns while having tea. And I went into the bathroom and Lana Wachowski, the director, was there and she saw me and she said, "Wow, a time traveler." And so it was fun. Like we went back to our tables, like, people would periodically see other people while going to the bathroom or going to the elevators. And at some point we're like, "Is Keanu here? Like, come on, we've seen everyone else. Is Keanu here?" And we never saw him. But after we went home, someone was looking on Instagram and found someone else, some random person had taken a picture with Keanu Reeves. He was actually in the same room as us while we're eating our lunch, but he was hanging out at the bar area because we had no reason to go to the bar area where people were watching like the Super Bowl or whatever was going on. We totally missed him, but we were in the same room with Keanu.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, did you guys meet Parker Posey? Like there's a group of people who met Parker Posey.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know who she was. Like I'm not very good at recognizing celebrity faces, but she came up to the group and asked to take a picture with everyone. So some of us thought she was just some nice lady who wanted a picture, but then some people were like, oh my God, that was Parker Posey.
Okay, what has Parker Posey been in though? Like, tell me who this person is. The name sounds familiar, but like, what does she play?
I have no idea what Parker Posey's been in. I just know that she's an actress.
I was told by the people that were excited that she was like, you know, in a whole bunch of like 90s romance movies or something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
Stuff I wouldn't watch.
But they were super excited.
I was really bummed I couldn't go to that day. My friends and I went the weekend before because the weekend before was the costume weekend at the Legion of Honor. Like the Legion of Honor set up their own one, and the GBACG had decided to like for some reason not to go on that day. So we were like, oh, we'll go on the day that the costume thing is. And we didn't really even register the GBACG was doing it. And then we were like, oh no, but we couldn't move our date by that point because we bought tickets and whatever.
Yeah.
I was so bummed I missed you guys. That was a bummer.
Oh, I was going to just say like the Legion of Honor is a wonderful place for together. It's beautiful. So hopefully when things open again, we can all head there again.
Yeah.
You talked a little earlier about all the events that you have in the Bay Area. Can you tell us what groups or organizations that you're in?
So the two groups I'm most active in, one is the GBACG, the Greater Bay Area Costumers Guild, and they do various events throughout the year, and the themes change every year. And the nice thing about those events is that you know, it can be something simple and inexpensive like a picnic, or something more elaborate like a dinner event, or, you know, a train ride or something. The other group that I'm involved in is the Rebel Legion, and that is a Star Wars costuming club. It's a good guys version of the 501st. And so we dress up in costume and we do charity events. We visit sick kids in hospitals and things like that. And so right now, because of the pandemic, we cannot do that. So what we've been doing are a lot of virtual events, like virtual visits with kids, or, you know, social media things. But we do miss being able to do that in person. So those are two groups I spend the most costuming effort with.
What characters are you for 50 or for Rebel Legion?
I am Admiral Amilyn Haldo, and I am a generic Jedi, and I'm also Jedi librarian. And I've also got a whole bunch of other costumes where I have like pieces or materials, but I haven't like finished or started, or so I've got stuff to in the works. I've got an X-Wing pilot planned, and a Rey costume, and a Padme costume.
Oh, cool. Do you have to submit to Rebel Legion the way you do in the 501st and get approved?
Yes. So they have like, you know, certain costume guidelines that you have to follow. And it's mainly to make sure that you look like the character, not like physically, you know, they don't care. You don't have to like physically resemble the character, but you have to have your costume be a certain standard. Mainly it's because we're allowed by Lucasfilm to basically use their intellectual property. So they set a lot of the rules. So we have to kind of play nice with them. I have, however, you know, I've had 3 costumes go through with no problem at all. So I find the process intimidating or anything. And there's so many people that are really excited to help you join and are willing to help you with your costume or give you advice.
Yeah. Erica is trying to convince me, since I'm already a Padawan, to make a Jedi costume so that I can go really just do lightsaber fights with her in the park and take pictures.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, there's there's a associated group called Saber Guild. I'm not in it, but their emphasis is wearing Jedi costumes and doing lightsaber choreography.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so if your whole thing is about getting into fights, there's a club just for that.
It's not really. It's really just about taking pictures and having a good time. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to join Rebel Legion because I don't know if I want to be that hardcore. But then I'm like, but they do have a standard that would be a goal I could work towards. So maybe we'll see.
I mean, I'd be happy to help you. I actually have on my blog a whole guide on how to make a generic Jedi costume. And the nice thing about it being, if you're not a specific character, there's a lot of leeway into what your costume can look like. You can pick your own colors. You can customize a lot of designs. So that's the nice thing about a Jedi costume. And it's a good way for people to join without like necessarily a very high cost or like having a whole bunch of research needed for screen accuracy.
What cons or events do you recommend?
So I know everyone's super excited about the big events, but actually my favorite ones are the small events because that's when you actually get a chance to talk to people, to make friends, and to see the same people over and over again and develop friendships that can last for many years. So my favorite ones are definitely the guild events, the small local ones. I mean, conventions are fun too, but my favorite are the small ones.
Who inspires you?
So actually a lot of the people that inspire me, you've already featured on your channel, you know, like Sosteen, Erica Alamo, you know, Dandy Wellington. So two people I want to mention are people that maybe you haven't interviewed yet, or I don't know if they're maybe in the works. There's one person called, she goes by Our Shield Maiden on Instagram. She's pretty awesome. She makes a lot of cool TikToks. She, you know, is very open about speaking about gatekeeping and encouraging people to do things even with a low budget. And then there's another person, I don't know if I'm saying this quite right because I'm not Korean, but the handle is Yang Cheong Chic. He makes traditional Korean clothing and it's beautifully made. And it's a way for him to connect with his heritage and his background.
We are in talks with him and he is very excited to come on this show. So cool. Interviewing him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
How can we be better mentors for our community with an aim to retain and recruit?
So I think like every club, if it's an organized group, every club should try to provide some kind of outreach and resources to newcomers. Now, depending on the size of the club, that can vary a lot. That can mean a website with tutorials. It can mean like workshops. It could be just sort of like assigning a buddy or a mentor to someone new to help them learn the ropes. But whether it's a big effort or a small effort, I think there needs to be something to show that, hey, we are open to newcomers. You don't have to show up already with all of the knowledge and all of the costumes and all of the resources. We'll help you out.
Yeah, cool. The GBACG does a pretty good job of that for the most part. They have lots of workshops and stuff, so it's nice.
Yeah, I like that they have a lot of workshops, and also a lot of the workshops they try to tie towards an event that's coming up soon. So like if they're going to have, like one year they had an Alphonse Mucha picnic planned, and so they had a workshop on how to make those big floral headdresses.
Yeah, it's good. If you could give new customers one piece of advice, what would it be?
So I think everyone should know that a lot of people I think are kind of worried about being judged or other people judging their costumes, but actually most other people are way too worried about themselves being judged to actually take the time to judge you.
That's solid life advice, not just costuming.
Yeah, like most people are way too worried about themselves to be like worried about the minutia of your life. Yeah. And like, you know, I make a lot of so-called mistakes in my costuming stuff, and like no one ever says anything about it to me. So either they don't notice or they're too polite to say anything. So, you know, I think people are, yes, there's gatekeeping and things that happen, but I think the fear of that is a little overblown. Most people are not going to come up to you and be mean to your face about things. And if they are, they did you a favor. They like exposed themselves early on as someone you should not want to be friends with.
Yeah.
Agreed. If you have a message on equity or inclusion that you'd like to give, we'd be happy to make time for that now.
So I think if you want to if you want to be welcoming to someone in a minority group or underrepresented group, the best thing you can do is actually treat them like everyone else. Like if you go up to someone at an event and say something like, wow, it's so nice to have like a brown person here or a disabled person or whatever, like you're just going to make them feel really awkward. You're going to make them feel uncomfortable because you're telling them, well, okay, the first thing I noticed about you is this thing that others you. And the thing that I wanted to talk to you about, even though you're a costuming event, is not your costume, but what you look like. So the best thing to do is just, say hello to them, welcome them. Don't make a big deal out of the fact that they are a different race or a different ability than you.
Well said.
Can I ask, well, actually, I just want to give you a compliment. I love your little videos.
Well, thank you.
Videos about like solidarity and sticking up for people when they need sticking up for, and I love them. So are you on TikTok too? Do you do videos from there, or do you just do them straight for Instagram?
I have a TikTok account. I'm mostly active on Instagram, but TikTok is a really easy way to edit videos, like short videos, and put in music. So yes, I have a TikTok account, and a lot of the videos that you see that I post on Instagram, I generated on TikTok and then put them into Instagram.
They always make me smile. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm really happy that you put them on Instagram because that makes them easily reshareable too. Because like TikTok doesn't have a way to share to Instagram for everyone else. And so when you put them on Instagram, then I can be like, this, yeah, this, which I really like. Makes my job easier.
Yay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Vivien. It was lovely to get to know you a bit better. Thank you also to our viewers for joining us today. And we will leave a list of Vivien's information down below for you all to go follow her on all of her platforms.
Also, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and if you know a costumer of color that you think we should interview, use the form that we insert below in the description box to tell us about them. Make sure to leave some love for Vivien as well in the comments below. Stay safe and be excellent to each other.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.